Alright, then I've just been AFK at my gold farm for about an hour. Let's have a look how many gold nuggets we managed to get and see if we could at least fill up one chest and craft that up all the way into gold blocks so that we can bring them home. Oh, we did get a chest full. This one is also full. Oh wow. Oh man. Man, this design is a lot more efficient than I thought. That's a lot of gold. Wait. That also means I have to craft all of that into nuggets. And then all of that into blocks by hand. Yeah, there's no way we're doing that. That's way too much work. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Nope, nope. Hello there. How are you guys doing? Do you also hate mass crafting in Minecraft that much? Would you rather that somebody else do all the hard work for you while you just chill around and play with your horses? Well, I've got great news for you because you've gone to exactly the right place today. We're going to be looking at my new automated villager crafting data pack, which adds automated crafting to Minecraft with the use of villagers. Now, I've been working on this data pack for quite a while. I started working on it back in Minecraft 1.16, and I finally come around to finishing it and updating it to the latest Minecraft version. So every single crafting recipe in Minecraft 1.18.2 is included. Anything you can think of that you can make in a crafting table in vanilla Minecraft, you can automatically craft through this data pack. Now, I wanted to keep the vanilla feel in the data pack as much as I possibly could, with obviously adding automated crafting to it. With which I mean that every time that we get new game mechanics in Minecraft that allow us to automate something, be it new kinds of farms, ways to automate processes in Minecraft, it always comes with one caveat. And that is that it still requires a little bit of ingenuity and creativity from us as players and the Minecraft community as a whole. And I think that's a great thing about Minecraft. After all, it is a sandbox game, and we do like making stuff, otherwise we would not be here. So I tried to incorporate that feeling into my data pack as well. So while you can definitely get away with using very little redstone and still automating some very simple processes with the data pack, in conjunction with actual redstone, you'll be able to get a lot out of this. You'll be able to automate all the crafting from your farms into your storage system or from your storage system into other farms, whatever you like, with just a little bit of redstone, creativity, and enslaving a couple of villages, you will be there. Now, in a second, we'll be hopping over onto a creative test rule that I've set up, where we'll be looking at what you need to start autocrafting with this data pack, how we can set up an autocrafting villager, what mechanics and limitations we need to take into consideration when designing our own automated crafting setups using this data pack, as well as we'll be looking at two fairly simple contraptions that will allow us to automate simple crafting recipes in Minecraft for if we just want to mass produce a single item, for example. Now, if you don't know how to install the data pack, I'm not going into too much detail about it. But basically, you can go into the description down below. There will be a link to the Planet Minecraft page for this data pack. You can download the zip file. There's no need to unzip it. You can just take that file, dump it into the datapacks folder of the world where you want to use it. And that's basically it. You can do that with single player worlds as well as on servers. Obviously, for a server, you have to go through the file manager that comes with your server host. Also works on realms, just a little bit more work because Mojang will not allow us to directly access our world files while they're uploaded to our realm server. So we got to do a little bit of looping around by downloading the world file first from our realms, then adding the data pack, and then bringing the data pack back again, or the world file back again into our realms world server, so that we can actually play with it. Yeah, Mojang, we would appreciate it if there was a simpler way to do that, because currently you're basically the only server provider that does not allow that. But then again, it's just realms are expensive anyway. Once you get back into your world, whether it be a single player or your multiplayer world, all you have to do is type /reload. Don't mind my messy chat. And if you type it correctly, unlike I did, you will get this message. Automated crafting has been successfully installed. and you will get some information about a command trigger. AVC manual will give you a little bit of a small manual that you can use. Has some of the basic information about the Datapack in there, and some fancy pink text that will lead you back to this very video. Now, that was basically about it for the general information I have for you guys. So let's just hop onto our creative test world and let's look at how this Datapack works. Alright, so welcome on our creative test world. Quickly set this up on a Minehut server just to show that it does in fact work on multiplayer as well. And we'll be taking a look right now at what we need to set up a villager as an autocrafter and which steps we'll have to take to do so. It's not incredibly difficult. Like I said, you can do the basic crafter with barely any redstone. Actually, this is all you really need for a basic crafter, although it will not be fully automatic, but we'll get into that in a second. So the basic needs you have is a little bit of a prison cell to keep the villager in, a crafting table for the villager to know that he is a crafter and to use, obviously, to craft his recipes on, and a way to pick up the items that he drops at his feet as his output. So any items he crafts, he'll drop at his feet and you can just pick them up from the ground yourself. But a really easy way to do it is a hopper facing into a chest. Why we have a carpet here, we'll come back to that in a second when we're talking about mechanics and limitations. So the first thing we want to do is we want to trap a villager in a little prison cell. This will ensure that he cannot walk away from his crafting table, but also that we know where the items are going to drop and we can easily pick them up. He will need a crafting table, like I said before, and he will check for crafting tables directly adjacent to him as feet height. So these 4 orange blocks represent the 4 locations in which he will check for a crafting table. And if at least one of these is a crafting table, he will take the crafter profession and he will let you know that by showing some hard particles. So if I just put a crafting table here, there we go, we see some nice hearts, he loves us, and he is now a crafter. Obviously, he doesn't know what he needs to craft yet, but he's acknowledged that he now has a crafting table to use. Now, if we want him to make something, we'll have to tell him what, and we simply do that by giving him one of the items that we want him to make. So in this case, for these 3 examples, I'll be using bones turning into bone meal, like you would with bones you could get from, for example, a skeleton farm. So if we want him to craft these bones into bone meals, all we have to do is give him a bone meal, and he will give some green particles. There you go, to acknowledge that he will now be making this item for the rest of his life or until we make him forget it. If we want him to forget a recipe, all we have to do is separate him from his crafting table for at least 2 seconds. As you can see, you'll get those particles, and that means he forgot his recipe. Let's reset him to a crafting villager. There we go. And we need to give him an item again and reset it. Keep in mind that if you give him an item to set up his crafting recipe, he will consume the item and he will never return it to you. And the same goes for any items he picks up to use with his crafting recipe. So any bones I give him right now, he will also never return. He will always remember any items he's been given. So if you take away his recipe while he still has inventory items, he will keep remembering those items up until the moment that you kill him. So if you later reinstate him as a crafter, and he can use the items he still has, he will right away start doing so. Now that he is a crafter and we've given him the recipe for a bone meal, all we have to do is supply him with the ingredients he needs for his crafting. So let's just throw him 2 bones. And as you see, he will start turning those into bone meal. There was still a little bit left in here from my own testing. So if I throw him 2 more, now that the chest is empty, you can see 6 bone meal will come out of here. And that's basically it. You set up a very, very basic crafting system. Now, obviously, this is not very useful. I mean, it's fun and all watching this guy do our work for us, but there's quite a bit of evident falls from us still. It's not very automatic. To make it automatic, we're going to have to use some redstone, and I'll be showing you 2 cool examples in a second of how you could do this, but you can get as creative with this as you want. As long as you have a way to pick up the items he makes and a way to supply him with the items he needs, you can make this fully automatic. You can give him the items in many different ways. For example, we don't have to throw them at them. We can also have a water stream coming from our farms, or a dispenser dispensing items at him which have come from hoppers from one of our farms or from one of our storage systems, and he will pick those up and use those as well. So that is a way in which we can automate this system a little bit more. And again, we can be as creative with this as we want. We can make this very simple or very complicated, completely depending on our needs for our crafting system. Now that we're talking about custom crafting systems, we obviously need to know some specific mechanics of how this works, as well as some of the limitations this system has. Obviously, these guys are only villagers, right? They're no superheroes. They have their limitations. We cannot expect them to make chests at the speed of light. We simply can't. It'd be rude. Can you craft chests at the speed of light? I can't. Neither can these villagers. So what are the limitations of this system? The first limitation is that they will craft items at a set speed. They will try to craft items every 0.5 seconds. If they have enough items to craft their recipe, they will craft it once. Meaning if they have 8 planks, for example, they will output 1 chest. If they have a bone, they will output 3 bone meal because that is the output for the bone meal recipe. You cannot speed this up, so this is the fastest rate at which one villager can craft items. He can pick them up faster than that, but he will not output them faster than that. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you make them craft items which multiply, so for example, you give him a log and you want him to make a bunch of planks. That means he will output 4 planks every 0.5 seconds, assuming you continuously supply him with logs. That is at a much faster rate than at which a single hopper could possibly pick up all the items and transport them into a chest. So if you do that continuously, you run into the problem of that hopper overflowing and items starting to despawn, making your system inefficient. So you're going to have to find a way to spread the items across multiple hoppers, for example. You can do this by having water flow at the feet of the villager and across multiple hoppers so that they can pick the items up together instead of one hopper having to do all the work. When it comes to picking up items, they pick them up at around hand height because, let's be honest, we all pick up stuff with our hands. I've been known to pick up a key with my feet once. It's not efficient. So these villagers just do it with their hands. They're also extremely lazy. They don't like bending over, so they just stand straight up their entire lives. I mean, they don't get paid a lot, so who can blame them? So we really want to give them the items at least at hand and arm height. So it's recommended to supply the items from one block above their feet or from directly above. If you don't do that, there is a chance that they will not pick it up, or at least that the hopper below them will be faster than a villager. And the items that he is supposed to use will go into the output chests, which might clog up your system depending on how it works, and we don't want that. So just supply the items from this height or higher, and you will not have any problems. They also have a limit at how fast they can pick up items, and as you can see, there is no bones in this chest here. If we just throw in a bunch of bones really fast, this should not be a problem. He's fast enough to do this. As you can see, no bones get through. If we throw in an entire stack, however, can we do this? There we go. He'll try to pick up as many as he can, but he only has 2 hands. So he'll pick up a lot of them, but not all of them. So if we get this, as you can see, I have 54 here. So he picked up around 9 of those this time. It varies a bit from time to time how many he manages to pick up. But you want to pace the input. If you just take items from a farm, it's not really a big deal because farms tend to output items a couple at a time. So a couple of items every second, which is more than within the reach of these villages. But if you're just going to drop in items yourself, but just dropping stacks and stacks and stacks into a water flow or at their face, know that they won't be able to pick all of them up. Keep that into consideration when creating automated systems. Another thing to keep in mind is, like I said, he will check for this crafting table at feet height. And that's why we have this carpet on top of the hopper. He'll want to walk away now. I broke that. Let's not mind that. The reason for this is there is a little bit of a hole in a hopper, as you can see, which means that entities can actually get into this hole. And when you're in this hole, according to Minecraft, you're a block lower. So if he gets into the hole of the hopper, he'll stop seeing this crafting table. And if he stops seeing this crafting table, he'll get really mad and forget his recipe. Which is not fun, because now he will stop picking up items. And we don't want that. So by simply putting a carpet there, or like I said, you can also use a moss carpet or a trapdoor, will stop him from going into that hole, and he'll always see his crafting table. A thing to keep in mind when we're using flowing water with villages is that they bounce. This is Minecraft mechanics at best. And if they bounce for too long, they might lose track of their crafting table. It doesn't happen often. It can take a while, but it can happen. There's two ways to prevent this. One way is to give him an extra crafting table. This way he'll always have a crafting table at feet height. But maybe an even simpler way is to simply give him a little roof. As you can see, it cannot go any higher. The water can still flow out. It can take the items with it. But this guy will always keep seeing his crafting table. So that's a couple of things to keep in mind when designing your own systems. Now let's have a look at two pre-built systems that I've prepared for simple crafting recipes behind us. Now, like I said, these are for simple crafting recipes. This design is for any recipe that uses only one type of item as an input. So for example, this one is set up to make chests out of planks. And this one is for any items that use two different kinds of inputs. This one is set up to make bows out of sticks and strings. And it supplies both items in equal amounts. So if, for example, you've been having him make spyglasses, he would get way too many amethyst shards because he only needs one of them and he uses 2 coppers, which isn't a big deal, but that will mean that he will eventually have a lot of leftover amethyst shards in his inventory, which he cannot use and will forever keep. So keep that in mind. And again, you can hook these up to farms. I use input and output chests just for this example, but the output could simply be a hopper line leading to your storage system. The input could simply be a water flow or a hopper line coming from a farm instead of these chests, or you could just use it like this for something you craft a lot very often. You can just dump a bunch of stacks into a chest and don't have to do it yourself. And they work really well. All you have to do is flick this lever, and you can see it'll start getting items dispensed at him, and these bows will start flowing into the chest. The same idea, but with 1 dropper instead of 2. And you'll see chests start flowing into here. This one takes a bit longer because that one only needs 3 of each. This one needs 8. You could technically also use this to supply it with planks twice as fast if you wanted to. It's just a bit more expensive, but it's not that bad. So let's have a look at how you make these. The smaller one requires the following ingredients. 4 chests. These are the in and output chests that I'm using. Obviously, if you're leading this from a farm to here, and then from here to a storage system, for example, you won't need these 4 chests, but for this example build, we'll be using those 4 chests. 2 hoppers, 1 for him to stand on, and 1 to lead items into the dropper. 2 observers for the clock, 5 glass, because we like to see our guys work. We need to make sure they're not taking too many breaks. 2 droppers, a sticky piston, a crafting table, a carpet, a trapdoor, a ladder, and a lever. Now let's take these items and start building this thing. There we go. I'm going to leave the villager spawn egg here. Obviously you're not going to use a spawn egg if you do this in survival. So we're going to place our 2 chests wherever we want our output to go. And then place the output hopper right here with a carpet on top. We will place the sticky piston right next to the chest, and we will power it right away. This will make it a lot easier for us to do the rest of our build. We'll need this in a second. There we go. On this side, we want a crafting table, as well as a glass. Oh, shifting makes that a lot easier. And then we want 2 glass on either side here as well. So that's going to be the 5 glass that we were using. Right here, we want to place a observer. Place so that the red dot is at the top. And then on top of that observer comes your dropper facing inwards. Take a hopper, face it into the dropper, and then place your input chests right there. Trapdoor goes here. It stops the items from spilling out over when the dropper does his random directional stuff. Make sure you don't forget this. Once the villager is in here, you will not get this trapdoor back on here because it will be slightly too tall. On here, we'll place a ladder. This is just for ease of access. And that is it. Now, if we flick this lever, nothing happens because we actually forgot one of the observers. We need one observer here, obviously, to complete the clock. To do this, dig a hole 1 deep, crouch in it, and just aim at this corner of the piston and place the block. You will see that the face is on top. That will mean it works, so that now if we trigger it, you can hear the system working. So that's it for the small system. The big system uses a little bit more resources, but not a lot. It's actually 1 fewer glass, but we will also need a node block, some additional chests, hoppers, and observers. Any random building block. I'm using a block of iron because I like it, but it can be dirt, can be stone, can be wood, doesn't matter. Any solid building block. We'll need obviously an additional dropper because we have 2 different droppers, as well as an additional carpet to mute the node block. One of these 2 carpets can also be a normal block, doesn't matter, but carpets look prettier. So let's take all of our items right here. There we go. And start building this baby. So again, we will start with our chests, face a hopper into that and put a carpet on top of that. Then here comes our sticky piston with, again, the observer facing face up. There we go. All right, we want to place a glass here, 2 glass at the front and 1 glass at the back. Our crafting table goes right here. And now we're going to take our 2 droppers. They will go here and here. Get on top of this dropper. Now our node block will go right here. There you go. One of the observers will face the node block with the red dot over here and the solid block right here. 2 hoppers facing into the 2 droppers. Chests going on top of these hoppers as inputs. There we go. And then our trapdoor again, don't forget this because you will not get it in after you've put the villager. And that's just to stop it from spilling out items. And a carpet on top of here. Again, this can be another block. All this does is it mutes the node block. If a redstone signal goes through a node block, it makes sound. So without this, you would hear a constant pinging of the node block. And with this, it will be silent. Now, we're still missing one thing. That is the observer that goes here. Now, we'll need a temporary block to do this, because we want it facing downwards. There you go. And then, lastly, a lever and a ladder right here. Now, if we pull this, you can hear it triggers both of them in short successions. And you can put in your villager and give it your crafting recipe. Now again, you can hook up as many of these as you want. You can put logins into one, have it make planks, give the planks to another guy to make boats, whatever you want. You can be as creative with this as you want. You can keep it simple. Have one of these to simply turn all the logs from your tree farm into planks right away if you want that. Or you can hook up many to make some very intricate crafting solutions for your farms and your storage systems. And that makes it time to finally wrap up this video. I hope I answered all the questions that you had in regards to the data pack. Obviously, if I left anything unanswered, feel free to leave a question in the comment section down below. I'll be with you as soon as I can, try to help you out wherever I can. If you haven't downloaded the data pack yet and you want to try it out for yourself in your single player world or with your friends, once again, there's a download link in the description of this video down below. It leads you to the Planet Minecraft page where you can get this data pack entirely for free. So feel free to download it and hopefully enjoy it a lot. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video as well. And I'll see you guys next time.